Well, thanks, guys, and I appreciate you doing the survey or the poll in the beginning there. That poll actually helps me quite a bit because the topic that we're going to talk about today is focus and really assumes that you do have Office 365. Now, if you don't have Office 365 already, don't worry. This will actually kind of encourage you to look at that as a possibility. We're actually finding, again, I work for Pragmatic Works, but we're finding as we engage with customers that more and more and more of our customers are starting to look at Office 365 as a viable option for their Office implementation, as well as Exchange, and as well as some BI features that we're going to talk about today. Now, before I go in, I'll mention one more thing about the Office 365. Now, the tough thing about going with Office 365 is it's really more of a larger organization decision rather than just an IT decision, because Office, as you obviously know, impacts a lot of people. It doesn't just impact IT, it impacts a lot of different departments. So what we're actually seeing in the field in consulting is that as licensing agreements or as agreements with Microsoft are coming up for moving over to Office, is that folks are starting to do Office 365. Now, Office 365 is a cloud version of Office. Really, most people that have it, most non-techies, don't even realize they have Office 365 because it looks exactly the same as what traditional Office looks like. Although, because it is cloud, I get updates more frequently than other people do, than traditional Office users get. I get updates very, very frequent. I get patches. I get also additional features added in that folks that have on-premise Office do not get, and you'll actually see some examples of that here today. So consider that as your company is looking at renewing agreements with Microsoft, especially on the Office side, that the Office 365 suite of tools is really very much like traditional Office, but it's going to give them more frequent updates, and it's also going to give them some additional BI features that they might not already have. And that's what we're going to look at today, is some features that are in Power BI. One called here that we're going to talk about is called Q&A. And it is specific to folks that have Office 365 and Power BI. So we'll kind of talk about that and what that means here as we go. Just a little introduction to myself. You see my contact information here. My name is Devin Knight. You can reach out to me via email or Twitter there as well. A little bit about myself. I'm the training director here at Pragmatic Works, so I run really all things training, even including the free training that we do. I work with our marketing team on acquiring speakers and figuring out topics and things like that. I'm also a SQL Server MVP, and I've written several SQL Server books. So I've written some books even as recent as a SQL Server 2014 release book for SSIS. I also run a local user group in Jacksonville where we actually do a monthly meeting. And I blog at a website called BIDN.com. That's the Business Intelligence Development Network.com. Now, again, our focus for today is all about Power BI, and specifically Power BI, one in particular feature called Q&A. And it's exactly what it sounds like. The Q&A stands for question and answer. But we're going to kind of dive into using Q&A, and we'll also dive in how to make a Power Pivot model really optimized for Q&A. So we'll talk about a few of those things as well. So first, though, I want to do some level setting, make sure everyone understands what's involved with Power BI, what components are inside Power BI, how does Q&A fit into that, and really kind of an overall view of what Power BI is. That'll be a short little discussion, and then we'll get into some demos. We'll talk about Power BI Sites, which is a special site that you have available to you, and we'll also get into the specific topic of today, which is Power BI Q&A. We'll spend most of our time on that, of course. All right. So let's talk about Power BI at a high level here and just kind of get an understanding of, first of all, what is Power BI, what does it entail, what features are available in it, and what tools do I have available. So the graphic that you're seeing on my screen right now is showing at a high level what the different types of activities are that you do with Power BI. So you see data extraction, data modeling, data visualization, and collaboration. So data extraction being I'm going to take data out of some kind of a data source, whether it's a database or whether it's a file that I have somewhere or just data that's on the internet. I'm going to pull that data in to a more of a self-service solution. Power BI is all about self-service BI and being able to produce BI solutions without necessarily having to engage with IT at every step of the way. So there's a data extraction step, getting data into a self-service environment, which is typically going to be Excel. Then once you pull that data in, using one of the two tools you see listed here, Power Pivot or Power Query. Once you get that data in, you'll then use data modeling step through Power Pivot to be able to make sense of that data. Okay, so the data extraction step is pull data in. It doesn't necessarily have to completely make sense at that point, but we're going to pull data in, and then we're going to use a data modeling step to actually make sense of the data, or create relationships with the different objects that we have. So data extraction, pull data in. Data modeling, create relationships between those multiple data sources that we pull in. Also in that data modeling step, we'll do things like hierarchies and relationships and calculations and all kinds of things that will help our users be able to create their own reports. Then finally we have the data or I shouldn't say finally, but next we'll have the data visualization step. And that data visualization step is taking what we did in the data modeling and being able to put some kind of a front end on top of it, or a visualization that helps my users be able to interact with the data. That can be done through a couple ways. It could be just regular Excel pivot tables, which I don't have listed there. It could also be done through tools like Power View or Power Map. Power View being a very ad hoc reporting tool that allows your users to interact and explore the data, and Power Map, as the name implies, being more of a mapping tool to allow you to take geographical data and visualize it on a 3D map. Then finally, the last step here, which is really our focus of today, is the collaboration step. The collaboration step here is taking the data from the previous three elements, so data extraction, data modeling, data visualization, and the collaboration step is really sharing it with others. And that sharing with others can be done through tools like the Power BI sites, which we'll take a look at here in a few moments. It can also be done through Power BI Q&A, which is the main focus of our webinar. And then also, which is not our discussion for today, but we can talk about it briefly if we have a little extra time, is Power BI mobile BI apps. So there's actually a mobile BI app for Windows tablets. So I'm actually running a Windows 8 device that we're looking at right now. And there is a Power BI app for Windows 8. And there's soon to be a Power BI app for Apple devices as well. So if you have, most executives love their iPads. So if you have executives that love iPads, don't worry, there's a Power BI app coming for iPad soon. So they're in development of that right now. So in this collaboration step, though, we're going to take what we've developed, like I mentioned in the previous three steps, and we want to share it with others. And we do that through a Power BI site. So we take those previous three steps where we brought the data together, we visualized it, we then deploy that result to a Power BI site.